Chosen one, this is no coincidence. This is destiny unfolding exactly as heaven planned it. You are not reading these words by accident. You were meant to arrive here at this very moment, in this very state of mind. God has been orchestrating circumstances, delays, and even disappointments so that your spirit would be ready to hear this final note, the last message God left for his chosen ones. From the beginning, your name has been written in light. Heaven has watched you through the seasons of silence, the long nights of questioning, the unseen tears that no one else noticed. Every quiet prayer you whispered was heard. Every act of faith you thought went unseen was recorded. And now, after all the waiting, heaven has chosen to speak directly to you. The message that was once hidden has broken through the veil. Darkness tried to silence it, but light cannot be contained. As it is written, "Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away." Matthew 24-35. Before anyone ever spoke your name, God already knew your purpose. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1-5. You have been chosen, refined in silence, and prepared in secret for this awakening. Every closed door was protection. Every pause was positioning. What seemed like a delay was divine timing, moving with precision. Now the heavens are open, and the signal has been released. You have been called not to hide from the world, but to transform it, not to escape darkness, but to carry light into it. This moment marks the end of waiting and the beginning of the assignment. From now on, you are no longer simply surviving. You are stepping into purpose. Now, as you step forward into this divine truth, if this resonates with your spirit, you may write 777 as an act of agreement in faith, a sign that you recognize the seal of heaven upon your life and that you receive this word fully. Declare it with conviction. I am chosen. I am aligned. I am ready for the unveiling of God's purpose in me. Don't rush away. Stay with me until the end, because we will close this message with a powerful prayer, one that will speak directly into your spirit today and awaken everything heaven has written for your name. Chosen one, the veil between heaven and earth is no longer intact. What once separated the divine from the visible has begun to rip like fabric under divine pressure. The stillness that covered the world was not death, it was preparation. The silence of heaven was never absence, it was anticipation. Now, the voice of God is rising through creation, and those with awakened spirits can feel it in their bones. C.S. Lewis, in Letters to Malcolm, chiefly on prayer, wrote, "Some people feel guilty about their anxieties and regard them as a defect of faith. I don't agree at all. They are afflictions, not sins. Like all afflictions, they are, if we can so take them, our share in the passion of Christ. This insight reveals that the silence and trials you endured were sacred afflictions, aligning your spirit with heaven's voice for this moment of divine awakening. Across nations, systems tremble. The air feels charged, time feels shorter, and hearts that once slept are now restless. Yet this is not chaos, it is alignment. The invisible realm is pressing into the physical, not to destroy but to awaken. What looks like disruption is actually a divine rearrangement. God is not coming through human structures or worldly systems. He is speaking through his Spirit alone, not through politics, not through media, not through men, but through the Holy Spirit. Whoever has ears, let them hear what the Spirit says to the churches. Revelation 2-7. This word was never meant to echo in crowded rooms. It was designed to vibrate inside the soul of those who have been marked for this hour. The unease you feel is not fear. It is your inner world responding to the movement of heaven. The racing of your heart, the sudden awareness that something greater is unfolding, are not random impulses. They are divine signals pulling you into position. The world calls it instability, but heaven calls it transition. What feels like shaking is simply heaven entering the room. When God moves, the air changes. When his presence draws near, silence turns into sound. Technology may glitch, plans may fail, and the rhythm of the ordinary may shatter, but these are not signs of breakdown. They are announcements that the realm of the spirit has collided with time. This is the hour when heaven refuses to stay silent. The Spirit is thundering through creation, calling the faithful to rise above confusion and tune into its frequency. Do not fear the trembling around you. Fear the numbness of those who cannot feel it. The veil has torn, and through that opening, destiny is breathing. You were never meant to live under silence. You were born for this sound. There are moments in history when heaven presses the fast-forward button on destiny, when what once took years happens in the span of a single breath. We have entered such a moment. The hands of the divine clock are no longer turning at human pace. What seemed delayed, distant, or impossible is now being compressed into divine immediacy. When God's purpose reaches its appointed fullness, delay is no longer permitted and hesitation becomes disobedience. The systems of earth move by schedules and deadlines, but heaven moves by alignment. When divine alignment is reached, everything accelerates. Opportunities multiply, doors that were sealed swing open without effort, and connections long lost reappear as if they had been waiting behind the curtain of time. Delay is not denial. Silence is not absence. What looked like stillness was God building momentum beneath the surface, storing energy for the moment he would say, "Now." Remember Joseph. One morning, he awoke as a prisoner. By nightfall, he sat upon the throne of Egypt. No campaign, no striving, no explanation, only acceleration. Years of suffering folded into a single moment of divine favor. That is how heaven works. It restores time, redeems loss, and transforms endurance into promotion. What took years to build in pain will manifest in seconds by grace. The same God who lifted Joseph overnight is the one adjusting your timeline even now. If you have felt the tension of waiting, if you have lived in the ache of not yet, understand that your delay was a vault holding your preparation. Every unanswered prayer was gathering weight so that when heaven released it, it would not trickle, it would flood. The season of stagnation was never punishment, it was alignment. The waiting room was not wasted. It was where you grew roots strong enough to sustain sudden growth. Now heaven is collapsing the distance between sowing and reaping, between promise and fulfillment. What once took months will happen in weeks. What seemed decades away will appear before the year ends. Doors will open as easily as lungs draw breath. You will step into rooms that were never on your map, because God is not honoring your speed, he is honoring your faith. When acceleration begins, do not hesitate. Move with it. Flow with the current, not against it. For this is not the rush of chance. It is the rhythm of destiny. You are stepping into the velocity of purpose, and heaven itself is carrying you forward. The pause is over. The hour has changed. What was waiting for you is now running toward you. Before every unveiling comes a hidden season, a stretch of silence where God removes you from the crowd and rewrites your foundation. That season felt lonely, didn't it? You looked around and found no one who understood your vision, no one who saw what you carried. The phone stopped ringing, doors stopped opening, prayers seemed unanswered. Yet heaven was never ignoring you, it was isolating you for instruction. The cave you thought was punishment was actually a classroom. Every chosen vessel must pass through the quiet furnace of formation. When God plans to elevate a life, he first hides it. The seed buried in the soil looks dead, but only because its transformation is private. Isolation is not exile, it is incubation. While the world moved on without you, heaven was doing its most delicate work within you, breaking pride, refining motives, sharpening discernment, teaching your spirit to hear the whisper behind the noise. Think of David in the wilderness, playing his harp to sheep when no one applauded. Think of Moses in the desert, stripped of title and reputation until he could finally hear God in the burning bush. The same fire is in you now. Your quiet years were not wasted, they were sacred. The pain that made you question your worth was the same pain that purified your calling. The tears that fell in secret watered the ground where your next chapter will bloom. C.S. Lewis, in The Problem of Pain, wrote, "God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world." This perspective illuminates that the pain and isolation you endured were God's megaphone, shouting through your trials to awaken your purpose and prepare you for this unveiling. In this room of divine training, God cut away every voice that could not go where you're going. You were never being abandoned, you were being selected. He pulled you away from counterfeit alliances, false comfort, and shallow praise, so that when he sends you back, you'll return carrying clarity and authority. Silence was your tutor, solitude your mentor. You learned how to survive on manna when others feasted on noise. And now, the door of isolation begins to open. You will re-enter the world different, quieter in speech, but louder in spirit. What once wounded you will now recognize you. The same wilderness that hid you will soon echo your name. This is the paradox of heaven. God hides what he values most, only to reveal it when the time is right. The training is complete. You are not who you were. The silence has done its work. The one who entered the room broken will leave it burning. There comes a moment when the voice of God stops echoing through the crowd and begins to call a single name. That moment has arrived. What you are sensing now, the inner pull, the trembling awareness, the stirring in the deep, is not emotion, it is recognition. Heaven has begun to speak your name directly. You are not one among millions, you are one among the chosen. The call is personal, unmistakable, and charged with divine intention. God is not calling to flatter you, he is calling to position you. You were prepared in silence so that when his voice arrived, you would know it was not imagination but instruction. Every trial that silenced you was meant to sharpen your hearing, to train you to recognize the voice that speaks not to the ear but to the soul. This call does not sound like thunder, it feels like alignment. It reaches beyond emotion, beyond logic, piercing the spirit where words cannot travel. When God speaks your name, he awakens every dormant part of you that has been waiting to live. The tug in your heart that won't fade, the sense of urgency that refuses to rest, these are not coincidences. They are signals that the divine season of activation has begun. God is not summoning you to escape the world, but to engage it. He is not pulling you away from people, but pulling purpose out of you. This is not the end of silence, it is the beginning of an assignment. His call will separate you from the noise, but it will also draw you into the flow of destiny. My sheep hear my voice, I know them, and they follow me. John 10:27. Hearing is not enough, following is required. To follow means to move, to act, to trust the unseen hand that leads you through uncertainty toward fulfillment. The call of God is not casual. It is not a whisper of comfort, but a command of transformation. When you say yes, everything shifts priorities, people, even the atmosphere around you. You begin to see patterns where others see problems, to sense timing where others feel confusion. That is how you know the voice is real. And now heaven waits for your answer. You have heard your name, you have felt the pull. Do not delay. The longer you wait, the heavier the silence becomes. Step into the sound. Let obedience be your reply. And watch as every door that once ignored you begins to open at the mention of your name. This is not the end of the world, it is the unveiling of it. What you are witnessing is not destruction, but distinction. Heaven is drawing a line that no human hand can erase, a line not of geography but of spirit. The time has come when those who walk with God will no longer blend with the background. They will stand out, radiant with a light the world cannot name. The separation is not meant to isolate but to elevate. You are not being removed from the world, you are being raised within it. Do not mistake this elevation for escape. You are not called to run from darkness, but to shine inside it. The light is not needed where all is visible. It is sent where vision has failed. That is why you have been kept among those who do not yet understand you. You are the proof that heaven has not abandoned the earth. God is not taking his chosen away. He is placing them on higher ground while they still walk among men. The same streets, the same jobs, the same faces, but a new authority, a new frequency, a new weight of glory resting upon you. When this separation happens, it will not be announced. It will be recognized. People will sense it before they can define it. Conversations will shift, favor will follow you, and resistance will no longer restrain you. What once ignored your presence will now respond to it. This is the mantle being placed upon those who endured in silence, the spiritual crown resting upon those who carried faith when faith was costly. Do not fear the distance that forms between you and those still asleep. The space is not punishment, it is purpose. God is positioning you where his voice can be heard clearly, where your words carry the weight of heaven. You will still move among the noise, but your heart will beat to a different rhythm, the rhythm of eternity. This is empowerment, not escape. Heaven is assigning mantles to shoulders that carried unseen burdens. It is not your strength that lifts you. It is his spirit. You are being equipped to carry truth into systems that once silenced it, to speak with the authority of one who has seen behind the veil. The elevation is spiritual first, then visible. You are rising, not leaving. You are being set apart, not set aside. And the world will soon understand that the separation was never about departure. It was always about destiny. Heaven never forgets what the world overlooks. Every silent act of obedience, every unseen tear, every quiet choice to stand firm when compromise was easier, none of it has been wasted. God saw it all. The world rewards performance, but heaven rewards persistence. In a time when many sought attention, you chose alignment. When others performed, you persevered. And now the season of unseen obedience is giving birth to visible favor. There is a sacred law written into the structure of eternity. Hidden obedience always produces public reward. While others built their image, you built your altar. While they sought applause, you sought his presence. Every yes, whispered in private, became a seed buried deep in the soil of divine memory. And in this appointed hour, the Lord is calling those seeds to the surface. Your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you openly. Matthew 6:6. Do not be surprised when honor finds you in unexpected places. Heaven's reward does not arrive through human systems, committees, or titles. It comes directly from the hand of the King himself. The promotion you could not manufacture, the opportunity you could not chase, these will find you. What was done for him in silence will now echo loudly in the sight of many. For God does not forget those who built quietly, while others built visibly. Faithfulness is the currency of heaven. It does not depreciate with time, nor does it vanish when forgotten by people. Every time you forgave in secret, loved without recognition, or chose integrity over convenience, heaven took record. The journals of eternity are full of your obedience. You thought no one noticed when you gave, prayed, served, and stayed, but God did. He watched the moments you stayed faithful after rejection, the times you kept worshipping after loss, the nights you believed, though you saw nothing. And now, heaven is balancing the scales. The reward of the faithful is not merely material, it is spiritual authority, divine access, peace that no power can counterfeit. God is about to place you where your obedience will speak louder than your words. People will wonder how you arrived, but heaven will know why. It was your faithfulness that built the bridge. The waiting was never punishment, it was preservation. The silence was never neglected, it was preparation. You have been tested in hiddenness, and now you will be trusted with visibility. For when God rewards, he does not simply return what was lost, he multiplies it. Your name is being remembered in the courts of heaven, and the same hand that recorded your faithfulness is now opening the book of reward. There is a shift taking place quiet to the eyes of the world, yet thunderous in the realm of the spirit. The hour of divine redistribution has begun. The world has long been unbalanced, its wealth, influence, and authority gathered in the hands of those who used them for corruption, manipulation, and pride. But heaven never leaves injustice uncorrected. When unrighteousness reaches its limit, divine order intervenes. What you are witnessing now is not chaos, it is correction. God is restoring balance to creation. The systems of this world are trembling because they were built on greed rather than grace, ambition rather than alignment. But the kingdom does not collapse, it reclaims. The Lord is transferring what was hoarded by darkness into the hands of those who walk in light. This is not a theory of economics, it is a decree of justice. The wealth of the sinner is laid up for the righteous. Proverbs 13:22. Everything once used to oppress will now serve redemption. Look at Esther and Mordecai. They were forgotten, silenced, and underestimated. Yet in one divine reversal, crowns changed hands, decrees were rewritten, and the instruments of destruction became instruments of deliverance. The same pattern repeats now. The proud are being stripped of false thrones, and the humble are being positioned where their integrity can govern. What the wicked built for their vanity will become the platform for God's glory. This transfer is not limited to gold or titles. It includes wisdom, strategy, access, and voice. Ideas once buried will emerge. Influence once denied will be restored. God is raising his people in finance, media, government, and art not to imitate the world, but to reform it. The inheritance of this hour is not luxury, it is responsibility. You are being chosen not to consume, but to govern, not to hoard, but to steward. Understand this. The transfer is not a reward for effort, but a recognition of trust. Heaven gives only to those who have learned contentment in lack. You have passed the test of obscurity. Now you will carry the mantle of management. What others gained through manipulation, you will receive through favor. Prepare your heart, for divine redistribution is not coming, it has begun. The old order is trembling. Thrones are shifting, and crowns are being reassigned. The arrogant will fall by their own designs, and the faithful will rise without striving. You were hidden not to be excluded, but to be reserved for the moment when heaven would say, "Now the just shall rule." The divine transfer is not a prophecy of wealth, it is a restoration of justice. There are moments when heaven itself bends toward the earth, and gates that have been sealed for years begin to open not by human negotiation, but by divine command. That moment is now. The gates of opportunity, justice, and restoration are swinging wide, and what once resisted you will now recognize you. You are not stepping into luck, you are stepping into fulfillment. The season of locked doors is over, and the sound you hear is the hinges of destiny moving at last. These gates do not open because of effort, they open because of timing. For years you knocked and heard nothing, prayed and saw nothing, served and received nothing. Yet each unanswered moment was a deposit in heaven's account. Every time you remained faithful in the dark, you wrote your name upon a door that would one day respond to your touch. Heaven does not forget obedience. It simply hides the reward until the appointed time. And now, that appointed time has arrived. Do not look back at the closed seasons with regret. Those doors were not rejection, they were redirection. God was not saying no, he was saying not yet. The delay preserved you from premature exposure. Had the gates opened then, the weight of blessing might have crushed what your character could not yet carry. But now, forged through silence, refined through trial, and anchored in trust, you are ready to walk through without fear. As you step forward, you will notice that the same people who once overlooked you will now be compelled to acknowledge you. The same systems that resisted you will now request your presence. What changed? Not them, you. The authority resting upon you has shifted the atmosphere around you. Heaven's mark on your life is now visible, and creation responds to it instinctively. The promotion, the partnership, the breakthrough, they are not accidents. They are responses to divine alignment. These gates are not merely symbolic, they are assignments. Each open door carries a mission attached. You are not being elevated for comfort, but for commission. The influence that comes will demand integrity. The visibility that follows will require humility. This is not about fame, it is about function. God is opening what no man can close, so that his purpose may move through you unhindered. Walk through boldly, but walk through with reverence. Do not run, step with awareness. For each threshold you cross is sacred ground, prepared long before you arrive. You are entering not just a new chapter, but a new realm. The sound of locked doors is fading, and the rhythm of open gates is rising. Heaven has remembered your name, and now the world will hear it too. Take a moment to breathe and center yourself. This is not the end of a message. It is the beginning of a movement that now lives inside you. Heaven has spoken, the veil has been torn, time has accelerated, and your spirit has been summoned. What follows is not a ritual, but a release. Every word is a key. Every declaration is a door. When you agree with heaven, you activate what was waiting for your faith to move. Now, let this prayer rise, not from your mouth alone, but from the depth of your spirit. Father, I thank you for remembering me even when I felt forgotten. You hid me in silence, not to punish me, but to prepare me. You took away the noise so I could learn your whisper. You stripped me of distractions so that what remained was only truth. You allowed the world to overlook me so that heaven could see me more clearly. Now, in this sacred hour, I surrender all I am back to you, my voice, my will, my future. Let every fragment of my life be aligned with your purpose. Lord, I release the bitterness of delay and embrace the beauty of your timing. What I once saw as closed doors, I now understand as divine protection. Every disappointment was a redirection. Every pause was positioning. I forgive those who wounded me. I bless those who misunderstood me. For none of them could hinder what you have written. Your hand was upon me all along, shaping me for this exact moment. You said in your word, "He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion." Philippians 1-6. I believe that promise. I declare that no power of darkness can interrupt what heaven has begun. No voice of fear can silence your call. No delay can erase my destiny. I choose to trust the process that refined me and the purpose that now defines me. Father, breathe upon me again. Ignite my spirit with holy fire. Awaken every dormant gift, every buried vision, every forgotten dream. Let courage rise in place of fear and clarity replace confusion. I no longer walk as one waiting for direction. I walk as one carrying it. I no longer wait for permission. I move in obedience. And now I speak this aloud as the seal of heaven over my life. I am chosen. I am aligned. I am equipped. I am ready. I accept the call. I embrace the fire. I choose faith over fear, purpose over comfort, and obedience over doubt. I am not who I was. I am who you have made me to be. The silence is over. The waiting is fulfilled. The final note of heaven has been written, and it bears my name. Amen.